Our top story, Latin America's longest-serving leader has resigned after protests against his re-election in Bolivia, but he isn't going quietly. Just hours after Evo Morales announced he was stepping down, he accused the police of an illegal warrant for his arrest, and he says his home was attacked by violent groups. Protesters packed the streets of the capital, La Paz, to celebrate his resignation. Earlier, Bolivia's military chief called on Mr. Morales to step down. He says it's a coup against his government.
I'm resigning from my position as president in order that people from Cochabamba and the poor people are not trodden on anymore. I'm resigning for them. We don't want there to be confrontation. Early this morning, we met ministers and we decided to resign in order for there to be new elections. All for Bolivia, all for life, all for the country.
Our Latin America editor, Lucia Newman, with more.
The situation in Bolivia at this hour is extremely complex and politically unstable. To begin with, there is a huge power vacuum. After the resignation of President Evo Morales, the one who would have stepped in is the vice president, but he's also resigned, as has the president of the Senate and the lower house, who would be next in line. So now we have the possibility of the president of the Supreme Court filling in for the executive branch, but that hasn't really been established, although there is a precedent for it. But worse yet, you have the president now saying that he has information that an illegal, what he calls an illegal arrest warrant has been issued against him, that he's denouncing a coup d'etat to the world, and the reaction both inside and outside of Bolivia is mixed. We have obviously the left-wing allies of Morales, such as Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, calling it a coup d'etat, but also some of the people here in neighboring Chile who are no friends of the former president, such as the former foreign minister, calling it a coup d'etat and urging Bolivia to reinstate what he calls the rule of law and democratic institutions. The United Nations is also expressing great concern for the instability that is going on, and we don't know how Evo Morales' supporters will react. This could be a powder keg that instead of putting out the fire that had been started when he was accused of having held illegitimate or highly questioned elections, instead of putting it out, it may just continue to cause more social upheaval.
Mexico's foreign minister says his country would offer Morales asylum if the former leader sought it. A number of leaders from the region have been responding to that news. On Twitter, the Brazilian president, Jair Bolsonaro, said denunciations of election fraud resulted in the resignation of President Evo Morales. The lesson for us is the need, in the name of democracy and transparency, to count votes that can be audited. The vote is a sign of clarity for Brazil. While Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro on Twitter said, "We categorically condemn the consummate coup d'etat against the brother president Evo Morales. The social and political movements of the world declare ourselves in mobilization to demand the preservation of the life of the Bolivian native peoples victims of racism." Anya Parampel is a journalist focusing on Latin America at The Grey Zone, which is an independent news website. She believes Morales was pressured out as president undemocratically.
I think there's no question that what we've just witnessed in Bolivia is a military coup. What else do you call it when a president is forced to resign after the head of the armed forces, someone no Bolivian actually voted for, calls on the president to step down? And we should keep in mind, Evo Morales' mandate, regardless of what you think about the October 20th result, does last until this January. So even if we were to invalidate this last election, Evo still is the president, or should have been the president, until January. And instead, we've seen him step down, saying that he's stepping down because members of his party, Movimiento al Socialismo, have actually fallen under threat. Their homes of mayors and governors were attacked by violent demonstrators who threatened to carry them out of their houses and set them on fire. We saw public journalists working for Bolivia television dragged out of their offices by these very clearly right-wing, violent, non-democratic protesters, and demanding they stop their broadcasts of the demonstrations. This, to me, appears to be completely undemocratic and a clear attack against Evo Morales and his mandate. He was willing to go for elections again.